If you live in New York, it's likely that you've seen someone who looks homeless. But homelessness isn't always visible. There are countless seemingly normal-looking families who move from apartment to apartment or shelter to shelter without the prospect of stable housing. According to the advocacy group Coalition for the Homeless, there were over 53,000 people living in homeless shelters in New York City during November 2013, including over 12,000 families with over 22,000 children. They cite eviction as one of the top reasons families lose their homes and transition into the city's shelter system. Now, the Center for Economic Opportunity sets the poverty line at more or less $30,000 of annual income. Most of the people who get evicted are under the poverty line. Imagine that you are one of them. What if I told you that you could be $25 a day away to rise above that line? Say your annual income is $24,000, as is the case of some calculations for a low-income neighborhood that we found in this board from Picturing the Homeless organization. That means you're $6,000 short annually. Now, if we divide that by 12 months, we get $500 a month, and then if we divide that in 4 weeks, that would be $125 a week, divided by 5 days a week, because you don't want to be working on the weekends, and you'll get to $25 a day. $25 that will help you to save your home. This is Job to Job, a project about addressing homelessness through prevention. Job to Job is a network for people who may be on the verge of eviction, but with a little push, they may be able to stabilize their financial situation and keep their homes. These are people who already have a part-time job, but for some reason, like a car accident or medical bills, are not able to make rent for the month. As we all know, internet has become a major resource when looking for jobs or other sources of income. However, the majority of homeless people don't have access to the internet or don't know how to use it properly. So how can you make this information that happens in the cyberspace available in the physical space? At the same time, I started thinking about other resources that people could access other than nonprofit organizations. Then, I looked at the other half, the people who have a home, a little money to spare, and I just thought of the relationship between the underemployed facing eviction and the people who are housed. With that in mind, I decided to create an informal economy that would give people jobs, but the jobs that I want to focus on are everyday tasks that we all need to do but may not have the time to do them. In that sense, you could just pay someone who has the time that you don't have to do your laundry or do a delivery and give them the money that they don't have. One of the biggest challenges for this project is that of building trust. This is why the only requirement that you need to fill is to have at least one part-time job. That gives me the security that this person wants to work, that they are able to maintain a job, and I can also talk to their current boss and get a sense of who they are, and it's the mind of the future job-to-job employers. And from there, we start building a network. So we have the underemployed, and they go to this physical space where we can collect their information, translate it into the internet, and then the employer is going to find their information and hopefully contact their new employee. This map that you're seeing depicts evictions throughout New York City, and what I did is that I cross-referenced it with the city's subway map. From there, I determined the best locations to place this physical network, which is the most important feature of Job to Job, to recreate a social network physically. In March, MTA announced that they're planning to move their employees outside their subway booths. Last time this happened, 10 years ago, hundreds of employees were laid off. Job to Job saw this as a great opportunity to reutilize these spaces and, of course, keep people's jobs. So what you see now is a redesign of the MTA booth. The question here is how to design something that conveys and encourages trust. At first, the Job to Job booth looks very similar to the former booth, keeping the same structure and familiarity so it feels approachable. Yet, the new booth is composed of modules that can be rearranged to create a meeting space or coffee shop. In order to encourage collaboration, the base of the tables are attached to the arms of the cubic chairs, so you can't put together a table unless you have at least 2 chairs. The booth is equipped with touch screens that collect information for the Job to Job website, where you have your profile, personal info, and where potential employers can find you, hire you, and rate your work afterwards. Because one of the most important features of job2job is its physical presence, the network also partners with City Bike. Apart from having job2job screens in each station, a job2job worker may also be able to use job2job bike accessories, such as baby seats if you're a single parent taking your kid to daycare, or trailers if you have a package delivery job. The core of these attachments is their collaborative, symbiotic nature. Lastly, job2job will also come with hubs where people can meet, attend training sessions, and keep building the job2job community. Based on the evictions map, I picked a building on 149th Street and 3rd Avenue, a zone where the eviction rate is very high. With the same collaborative spirit, the job2job hub would keep the building as is, and the design of the interior begins from respecting the former structure as much as possible. These are plans that are still in the works of what the interior would be like. The ground floor would have a welcoming center as well as a cafe for job interviews and classrooms for training sessions. The hub would also offer community housing, a last resource for job2job members who cannot avoid eviction. These apartments are intended for families and have shared spaces such as kitchen and the dining room in order to build a sense of community. The building would also come with a daycare run by job2job employees in order to give parents the opportunity to go to work smoothly. The next step for this hub is to infuse it with the same collaborative, trust-based dynamics that we have observed in the subway booths and the city bikes. Job2job is a great opportunity for people to know each other, empower themselves, and redistribute resources evenly. Hopefully, this can be a project that brings us together as a community to fight homelessness.